Today I will be explaining what my version of the plot for Star Wars The Last Jedi would be. This is half speculation as to what I actually think will happen, and half what I think would be cool and good for the movie. This is going to be part 1. I'll make a part 2 if this video does well. But basically, this will be the about first half of the movie, and then next time I'll do the second half. And let's see, after the movie comes out, how correct I am. So let's just jump straight into it. As always, the crawl will begin, and it will likely just depict what happened in The Force Awakens. It might give us a little bit of context that we got from the books, things like Kylo Ren being scooped up by Hux, and just things like that that the general viewing audience might not know. And I think the crawl will talk about how now the First Order are closing in on the Resistance base on Daqua. The camera will pan down and we will see some ships leaving the planet, with Leia talking and saying that the First Order will be there any minute and they need to jump to Crate. The Star Destroyer will then pop out of light speed and the battle that we saw here in the trailers will commence. This scene will immediately show the new might of the First Order and show that the Resistance are very outmatched now without the Republic. It will also set the tone for the rest of the film. This scene will be like what the Battle of Hoth was in Empire Strikes Back. Leia and some of the Resistance, including Poe, Rose and Finn, will escape and they will jump to Crate. This is when Finn will wake up and maybe meet Rose. We will then cut to Oct 2, where we will see Luke Skywalker. We will then see the ending of Force Awakens take place, but from Luke Skywalker's perspective. Rey will hand Luke his old lightsaber, some dialogue will be passed, and then Luke will say, "Well, come with me," and they are going to go off and walk somewhere on his island where he's been hanging out all these years. We will then see the First Order for the first time in this film, at least in person. We're going to see Kylo Ren doing something, not quite sure, maybe interacting with General Hux. Phasma will be there, and hopefully this is when we will first see Snoke. I think Snoke will be a little less mysterious in this movie. We've got this image of Snoke now, that just came out today, and a little bit, he kind of looks like Palpatine, so I don't know. I don't know if Disney would make that story decision of making Palpatine somehow reincarnated. He definitely died on the Death Star. Not only did we see the reactor shaft blow up, which could have just made him look all disfigured and look like Snoke, but the Death Star itself blew up. It would make absolutely no sense. In Battlefront, we're going to get this reincarnation droid thing. So, if the real Palpatine existed, he would be out in the open. When Snoke was described, it didn't sound like they were alluding to him already being in the movies. They just said he was around at the time of the Clone Wars. So, I'm not quite sure. So the Resistance will now land on Crate. Crate is the planet that we saw in the trailers with the red dust. They will enter the old Rebel base that was built there, because we do know that an old Rebel base was built there, and this is where they're going to temporarily set up camp. This is at least where Leia is. Some of the rest of the Resistance won't be here, I think. So I think the rest of the Resistance will be in other places, and Leia will be trying to contact them, and the First Order at the same time are going to be trying to track them down. So it's going to be really cool to see the First Order trying to track down the Resistance, and Leia trying to bring them to Crate. So I think one of two things will then happen. Either Finn and Rose are with Leia, and Leia will send them to Canto Bight to find one of these ships that has been stranded or jumped to the wrong spot, or they will be on one of those ships, have to go to Canto Bight undercover, and Leia will send Poe. On Luke's island with Rey, he's going to show her a lot of the stuff that he's been doing, and he's going to eventually explain that he does not want to train her. Rey is obviously questioning why Luke wouldn't want to train her, and he simply doesn't want to because of what has happened in the past and how he doesn't want a repeat of that. Somehow Rey manages to persuade him to train her, but Luke's going to be very uneasy about it, and I think Luke's going to have a bit of a dark side to him this time around. I don't think he's going to be as good. I think he will be somewhat on the dark side and use dark side powers. He says it's time for the Jedi to end, so maybe he wants to build a new order of something similar to the Grey Jedi, but instead this time it will be under a different name, because it would be really weird for him to go, it's time for the Jedi to end and the Grey Jedi to rise. It would just sound goofy, so he will probably call it something else and it will be a really cool thing. I don't think Luke's going to train Rey in the wisdomish way that Yoda trained him. There's going to be no don't fuel your hate. There's not going to be any don't have attachments. It's all going to be use the power that you have to do good, but if required, do bad. It will definitely be the way the Grey Jedi think. And that concludes for part 1. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button if you want to see part 2 of how I think the story will come together, how the story will continue forward, and how, I guess, the story will form. Then hit the like button and comment down below saying you want it. The more support I get from you guys, the more I will see that you guys want the part 2, so definitely leave that below. Hit that subscribe button for weekly content every Sunday. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a great day.